What are the worst new SUVs you should avoid for 2026? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Help Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. I'm going to share the top 10 worst new SUVs of 2026 that are poorly designed, lack good safety ratings, are not very well made, and are a complete waste of your money. So if you want to avoid buyer's remorse, stay away from any of these SUVs. Let's get started with the first ones that come in the number 10 spot, which are a tie between the GMC Terrain and the Chevrolet Equinox. With the gas engine, these two are basically the same vehicle and both share the same issues. First off, there's the drivetrain, which is a small 1.5-liter turbocharged engine, which is noisy, underpowered, and not very fuel efficient. It's a total disappointment, and you're stuck with it because GM does not offer a hybrid or a more powerful engine option. In fact, disappointing sums up these two SUVs quite well. The interiors of both are typical GM, cheap feeling and not worthy of the price. The technology is not too bad, but any bright spot with these two is immediately wiped away when you see the pricing, which is just absurd for two SUVs this mediocre, with poor resale value and which have below average reputations for reliability. There's just no reason to consider these two SUVs, so why should you bother? And the next ones that we have on the worst SUVs list are another tie between two very similar vehicles, which are the Ford Bronco Sport and Ford Escape. With the EcoBoost engine. Again, both of these SUVs are mechanically identical with the same issues. The main one being the drivetrain. The Bronco Sport and Escape come standard with a tiny 1.5-liter turbo 3-cylinder engine, which is just too overstressed and underpowered for vehicles of this size. It's not very fuel efficient and not very reliable either. Both engine and transmission issues are very common on these models, and both have been recalled several times for severe problems. And like the GM SUVs, there's just very little that these two excel at. That's especially true given the high pricing, which means just skip these two, they are not worth the trouble. And reliability concerns are the main reason to stay away from this next SUV that's in the number 8 spot, which is the Kia Seltos. The fatal flaw of this vehicle is the standard 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. This engine is known for manufacturing defects, including bad piston rings, connecting rods, and bearings, which can cause the engine to consume oil, seize, and completely fail. 138,000 cars were recalled back in February of 2025, and nearly 150,000 more back in 2021, and millions more vehicles with this engine in the decade before that, including the Kia Soul. There have also been major class actions and fines from NHTSA against Hyundai and Kia, so do not buy one of these vehicles. They basically have no value once the warranty period is up, because at that point, the engine is just a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. And who wants to get stuck with that? Just stay away. And next up on the worst SUVs list, in the number 7 spot, we have the Volkswagen Taos. Although all the SUVs on this list have poor owner satisfaction ratings, none of them top the Taos, which has been one of the lowest rated vehicles by Consumer Reports for owner satisfaction since its launch. And it's not hard to see why. The Taos really has not much going for it. It's unpleasant to drive, the performance is not that great, it's overpriced, and it doesn't have a good safety rating. And its reliability is well below average. Volkswagens tend to be low in reliability in general, but the Taos is worse than most, known for electrical problems and engine problems. The only reason I didn't put the Taos further down this list is because Volkswagen did make some effort to improve it for 2025 by replacing the awful dual clutch transmission with a new normal transmission that shifts much more smoothly. Even so, it's just not enough to make the Taos worth a look. Just don't even bother. And for the next SUV that we have in the number 6 spot, we have another GM vehicle, which is the Chevrolet Trailblazer. The Trailblazer is another mediocre, underwhelming GM crossover that just is not good enough for what you get. It uses a tiny 3-cylinder turbo engine with questionable longevity. The pricing is far too high and the value just isn't there. GM is really a hit or miss company. They seem to either make excellent, high-effort vehicles like the Corvette or even the Equinox EV, but then on the other hand, they sometimes just completely phone it in with zero effort, with examples like the gas-powered Equinox or Trailblazer. Here's a tip. If for some reason you just have to get a small Chevy crossover, skip the Trailblazer and just get the Trax, which is almost the exact same vehicle for thousands of dollars less. And now moving to our next SUV in the number 5 spot, we have the Nissan Rogue. Now, what's upsetting about this one is that the Rogue is actually a very nicely designed SUV with a comfortable drive, nice interior, and good tech. The only problem with it is its poor reliability with the 3-cylinder turbocharged engine and CVT. Recently, Nissan was forced to recall nearly 500,000 vehicles with the VC turbo engine for potential engine failure thanks to defective bearings. Putting a tiny 3-cylinder turbocharged engine in a vehicle is just asking for trouble, as is Nissan's continued use of their Jatco CVT, a transmission known for its poor quality and premature high failure rate. So, unless you're getting an incredible lease deal and return it before the warranty expires, the Rogue just has too many potential problems and is best to avoid. And for the next SUV in the number 4 spot, we have the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. I think it's safe to say that this is the weakest vehicle in Mitsubishi's lineup, which is already incredibly underwhelming to begin with. Compared to the cheaper Outlander Sport, known as the RVR in Canada, the Eclipse Cross offers very little extra for its higher price. It's not a particularly well-designed or impressive vehicle in any way, and worst of all, it has one of the worst safety scores of any vehicle, according to the IIHS, which alone should be enough reason to avoid it. Not to mention all the other problems that come with it being a Mitsubishi, such as the small dealer network, poor parts supply, and lousy customer service. Enough said. And now, getting into our top 3 worst SUVs of 2026, in the number 3 spot we have the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Buying a Stellantis product in 2026 is already ludicrous enough, given all the problems that this company has. But to buy a Grand Cherokee is just asking for major headaches. The build quality of Jeeps in general is known to be quite poor, but the Grand Cherokee takes unreliability to a whole new level, especially if you go for the 4xe plug-in hybrid version, which is just a total repair nightmare, not to mention offering crude, unremarkable performance. And despite the endless problems that these vehicles have, the pricing remains outrageously high. You'd have to be out of your mind to pay luxury vehicle pricing for a Grand Cherokee, because any redeeming qualities that this vehicle has are just not worth the potential headaches. But as bad as the Grand Cherokee is, I don't think it's quite as bad as the next Jeep product that's in the number 2 spot, which is the Jeep Compass. This is unquestionably the worst product that Jeep currently makes, and it's baffling to me how anyone could still consider buying one in 2026. When it comes to quality, value for money, and the resulting product that you get for the money that you spent, I don't think there is a worse vehicle in the world of small SUVs than the Jeep Compass. It underperforms and underdelivers in just about every possible way, and anyone who buys one is truly getting one of the worst SUVs that money can buy. That is, unless you buy this next SUV that comes in the number 1 spot. The worst SUV of 2026 has to be the Dodge Hornet. Easily one of the worst vehicles on sale today, the Hornet is the perfect example of how to do almost everything wrong. It's a tiny yet overpriced small crossover with poor build quality that was hacked together with Alfa Romeo and Fiat parts, making it a guaranteed repair nightmare. In fact, it's made in Italy next to its equally bad Alfa Romeo twin, the Tonale, and it's no wonder why they suffer from awful depreciation, thanks to being ridiculously overpriced, tiny SUVs that virtually no one has shown any interest in buying. Dealers can give these things away, even with massive discounts, which really says it all. Its days seem to finally be numbered, which is a good thing because it's time for Dodge to just put this one out of its misery and move on. So there you have it, the worst SUVs that you can buy of the year. Let me know what you thought of these picks, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you are planning to purchase a vehicle and you live in Ontario, know that OMVIC is the vehicle sales regulator that's responsible for administering and enforcing the rules that dealerships must follow. To learn more about your consumer protection rights, visit omvic.ca, and if you need any additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to visit carhelpcanada.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.